Welcome back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back. Berenice, how's it
Hi.
going?
Things have things are good. Like I think
Good.
in general consensus, I met up with some of my flowmates today, which were some of them were the city girls, and it's the general consensus that I don't know what's going on in the world relationships wise, but there's mayhem either with like work or relationships going on right now. And City Girls were down, but personally, I'm in good spirits.
Me too. I'm in
Yeah,
good spirits too.
yeah. Is every situation perfect? No. But I did find, I've just been holding on to the fact that like sometimes when nothing goes right or there's like a path of confusion, it's just an opportunity for something completely new. And sometimes there's places in my life where I'm like, wow, I really don't know what's going to happen next. And something about that is so exciting because it's like you're writing your own book, you know what I mean? Like you really don't know what's going to happen next. I really have no idea.
Well, some people would be scared, but do we ever really know what's gonna happen next? So you might as well just be excited about the adventure.
I think like New York summer is coming and there's something just so exciting in the air, at least for me. I'm like, wow, if you have absolutely no attachment to anything, not your job, not a man, not a woman, you just have like a good set of friends. Like, there's just no way, like, there's nothing that can be bad. It's just all a world of possibility. And I think that's awesome because you just gotta seize opportunities, seize moments, seize good connections, good people. So I'm excited. I don't know what's coming, but it
Okay.
feels good. Okay.
I love it.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It
Okay.
is 1 year sober today, which is crazy.
Woo!
Woo! 1
Oh, I'm
year.
so proud of you.
Thank you. Honestly, it's like it just hasn't felt like that much time, which I feel like has been the freakiest part is that like it hasn't felt like a year and I feel like time is just like flying by. But honestly, probably good that it's just been pretty chill, good year overall. I'm turning 30 in 3 months.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm fucking you guys, I'm so pumped about I'm in like my like 13 going on 30 Sex in the City, like all the fun pop moments where everyone's like 30 and older. I'm like, "Oh my god, that's me now." And so yeah, I'm actually like really excited and like yeah, so I'm in good spirits and I feel like recently I've been having like bad moments when I feel like I used to have like bad seasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
felt like
Rough patches, per
yeah,
se.
I felt like I had like rough patches and like, something happened at work where like I feel like maybe 3 years ago this would have sent me into like a tizzy into a season, like I just would have been really fucking sad for like 3 months. But I literally was like, you know what? I'm gonna give myself like 16 hours and then I'm gonna move on. And
Because we got shit to do.
honestly, it's just life's too short for me to like fucking really care. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I could really be pissed off about this, but I'm just choosing not to be because in a way, I was actually like thinking about this where it's like I have like the freedom, like the free will to choose what bothers me. And so I'm just going to choose to not let it bother me. And it is
Period.
a little difficult because people around me are losing their shit, but
Yeah.
I'm like in a way fucking disassociating and my therapist says it's fine because it's like good disassociating because I'm like there for people when I'm there, but once I'm gone,
It's
it's
not my
gone.
problem. I'm
It's
checked
really
out.
not. I'm so checked the fuck out, and that's a really healthy place to be, honestly.
That is a really healthy place to be. I can definitely relate that. I came to that conclusion too. I was like, I think if I'm ever going to be in a healthy relationship, it's like I got to be there for somebody without making it my problem. And I was like, wow, this one's a new one.
Yeah.
Snaps to healthy boundaries. We just refuse to have a bad time. I think that's beautiful. And
I was just sitting. I was sitting at my desk, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna choose to be having fun. I'm fun.
I'm fun now.
This is fun.
fun.
It is completely delusional. Like, it's literally Delulu town. But, like, I'm gonna just sit in delusion because the other reality of, like, being fucking sad and real about shit, that's so overrated. Like, I'm just gonna be fucking delusional about it.
It's the placebo effect. It works. It really does work. I'm telling you, it's all about mentality and perception. Like you could be anything if you just have the right mindset.
The right mindset and the right soundtrack, okay? I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I literally put on I have like a power girl playlist. Like I listen to Gossip Girl, I listen to Devil Wears Prada. I listen and I'm Miranda Priestley, bitch, in this delusion. You know what I'm saying? People are afraid of me, but because of my toxic positivity. Like I literally people are like, "Oh my god, this is going to shit." And I'm like, depends on what you look at it. Snack room stocked, bitch.
It's falling apart so it can just build something better.
Literally. So that is where I'm at.
Same. Yeah, glass half full girlies. Today we have actually, it's along being a glass half full girly as I think as being a yapper. I can't shut the fuck up. And that's our topic for today. So shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks for your concern.
We clearly have big yapper energy over here because we have 189 podcast episodes. That's crazy town. But honestly,
that nobody asked for.
Yeah, actually, people are asking us to stop if we're being real. No, I'm just fucking around. Anyways, but yeah, big yapper energy, no filter energy. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially, this has been a new thing that I guess I've seen that I just really like to chat. Some people are better at chatting and some people are better. I think I just like listening and thinking and internalizing things. I used to be more of a thinker, but then it turns out that when you just start speaking your thoughts out loud sometimes, you can really connect with people.
I'm hitting daily records on interactions with human beings. Like, I think, yesterday I think I talked to like 12 people, which is a lot for me, okay, for just to live your daily life and to talk to 12 strangers. But I'm telling you, people are so down to engage with other human beings, especially if you're having like a no filter authentic version of yourself. People are so down to chit chat and talk. And it's interesting who I've like, I guess, built relationships with recently, like even if they're just acquaintances. And now I feel like I know a bunch of new people just because I've been a big yapper. Big, how's it going? What's good with you?
Period. Says here, the thing about being a yapper is that there's a big thing of like if you are thinking more than you're speaking, or if you're speaking more than you're thinking, and intelligence and shit like that. I spent probably 90% of the time by myself. So I am thinking most of the time. However, when I interact with people, I think that I've just become confident in my thoughts and what the fuck I'm saying to not second guess it. I think a lot of people get anxiety about like, oh, should I say something? Should I ask them? Should I invite them out? And they're like, yes, do it. Like it's silly not to, really, because then you just live in your head. I think there is a big emphasis in like you should really think before you speak, and I believe that is true. You should think before you speak, but but like, please think before you speak. Sometimes read the room. But it's like in a sense of hee hee ha ha's, and like that like your intentions are coming good for it coming. You're not about to say something problematic that's gonna piss up people off. Just go ahead and share the thought with the class.
I think the people who are told they should think before they speak are their thought process is whack. So that's why they say things that are whack. It's because that's their internal conversation. But I think if you like lead with love and kindness, I feel like you don't have to overthink your thoughts. I think if you like lead with light, people understand that you're coming from a good place, and I think if you have the thought of like, oh, I want to be conscientious of what I say, you're already like half of the way there, and you're probably not the person who think about what they say to people.
Yeah, part of being a good yapper, I think, is being, I guess, like, I don't know if vulnerable is the right way, but like of being wrong, right? So there's a big possibility that if you're speaking a lot, that you're gonna be wrong about the things that you're speaking. You know,
Oh yeah,
that's a big possibility. So if you can take accountability, you can be like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You're right. I think there's a lot of power in that. Okay, sometimes you have to admit when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and that's okay. Sometimes I'll say like, "Oh, I heard this," and if somebody corrects me, I'll say, "I don't have enough background knowledge to tell you that I'm right. I'm not gonna die on this hill at all. This is just something I heard. This information could or could not be correct."
I sometimes say like this isn't my area of expertise.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
Uh,
just honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. This isn't my area of
I don't know.
expertise.
Yeah, yeah. I just know one fact.
Literally,
Maybe a half fact.
literally, you say one thing and they keep going. You're like, that was my one thing on this topic. If I'm being honest.
But that's really interesting. Now
Yeah.
that you say that, I'm gonna save that one for later.
And then now I have two things to say on this topic.
I think also part of being a good yapper is honestly just being an active listener. If you're like, it's a good conversationalist. It's just like listening to what people are saying, engaging, finding one thing interesting, and then asking a follow up question about that. There's You can't go wrong with being like, oh, that's really interesting. How did you hear about that? Or, oh, do you like that? Like, that's something you like? People have a hard time making conversation.
Hey, yeah, I don't even know if I want to admit this, but this one time, this guy was like, "Are you just waiting for me to stop talking so that you could continue to talk?" And I literally was like, "You're kind of boring." So if I'm being honest, yeah. And in the context, we're like at a frat party where we were like forced to mingle, and I just was like, "I mean, yeah, you caught me, babes." I was just waiting. I was listening for something that I could attach to, but I wasn't like actively listening. People can tell if you're not dialed in. So being an active
Yeah.
listener is like half the battle.
I agree. And not a lot of people get asked things about themselves, so it's just nice. It's like a considerate thing when you like are engaged with what, people are saying. You're giving them a time to just like make them feel seen. Not a lot of people feel seen. It's really sad. Okay, so just
I know. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people like talking about their own interests, and then they
yeah.
like you. And I remember this one time we were at the dunes, the dunes of whatever Eastern
Pullman,
Washington,
yeah.
and this person, I was talking to this person, and they were talking about country music, and I was just engaging in country music talk with them, like, whatever, fuck it, like, sure. And someone was like, "Ella, do you even listen to country music? Like, you're super into EDM." And I'm like, you know what, bitch? I do listen to, I was like, I don't listen to country music, but I had a phase, okay? I'm someone who's had a lot of phases. So you don't know me that well. I went through a country music phase, but that wasn't the point. It's just like this person obviously was really into country music, so I'll indulge them for 5, 10, 15 minutes, make a positive impact on that person's day, and then maybe if they're lucky, they'll ask me a question, and then I can go yap for 15 minutes about something I'm interested in and teach this person something new. But if you're unwilling to listen to a person, they're usually unwilling to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the most part I'm a pretty good conversationalist. The only time it goes south is when people I think like don't care to engage with me, where I'm like, "Oh, I know I'm asking the right questions because I'm just asking about something they just brought up. And they're just like not with it. And I'm just like, I don't take it personally, to be honest. Like, I'll be a yapper with who wants to yap. But you're not trying to chat, felt like that you're in your right not to want to talk to me.
I honestly, not taking things personally is like some of like the best well-rounded advice to in life is like not to take things personally. But another thing is that like as a yapper, I hate when someone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm talking so much." No, I love a yapper. I'm a yapper myself, and if there's ever someone who's like doesn't like your yapping, find someone who does. Okay, I'm telling you. Like I feel like you go on like first dates and they're like, "Wow, you talk a lot," and I'm like, "Ew, yes, I do talk a lot." What, you want to sit here in fucking silence? And then you finally find someone who's also a yapper, and then you end up dating a yapper, and then you just both yap 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 yap, yap all day fucking. So
You're
you can,
both good conversationalists, you
yeah,
know? I agree.
agreed.
I went on like a few dates where people told me like, "Oh, you're just good at like chatting this that sometimes dates feel like interviews." And I'm like, "Oh, I see that cuz like sometimes you just want to find out specific things about people." The art of conversation is sometimes gearing the conversation towards a specific direction without bluntly asking that question. Sometimes you got to ease people into your questions. You can't like be like, "Tell me your deepest darkest secret," but like if you start sharing and they start sharing and maybe you start spilling some tea, maybe they start spilling some tea, and suddenly they're telling you about their whole childhood trauma the first time you meet. It's happened to me pretty much almost every time I hang out with somebody. They traumatized up on me, and I'm like, I love this topic of conversation.
You make a real, at least a good friend through some of these. No, that actually happens to me too, and I think it's because I mean, people have told me I'm too like casual about some of my trauma, but it's just because like I like to hee hee ha ha about it, and to me, it's not really a secret. Which isn't the same.
I've talked about it enough times. I've yapped enough times that it's like,
I mean, not everyone's comfortable talking about their trauma, and there's a difference between like trauma dumping and then
yeah.
like one example that's like not necessarily like trauma per se, but it's something that I would be like truthful about, and then honestly people would open up about stuff too, is like if I didn't have a like if someone's like, "Oh, did you ever have this as a kid?" and I would be honest, I'd be like, "You know what, to be completely honest, I did not have that experience as a kid. That is not something I can relate to." And they're like, "Oh, really?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, like that just kind of wasn't what was going down at home." And that's obviously not trauma dumping, but that's just being like authentic and vulnerable with someone, and like not making something up to like keep the conversation going in a way. It's like being real about who you are in a conversation. And then people like slowly open up too.
That is true. I think the nice part about being authentic is that you're not necessarily like trying to people please, and that you're not scared to be wrong. And then there's a lot of like vulnerability that comes in authenticity, and I think that people read that, right? So that when they see you show up as yourself and you're like unapologetically yourself, you're just like, this is just who I am. I like this, I don't like this. It doesn't, other people don't feel as pressured to people please because you just created like a new norm, which is, be the change you want to see in the world. There's benefits to being a yapper, I think, in society. I like to ask questions. I love me a chit chat with my girlfriends. Like I really think that there's nothing more beautiful than being in a group of women and just like chit chatting. Just feels good. It feels safe. It feels like we're here for the hee hee ha ha's, and there's ups and downs, and you know what I mean. Like a good conversation with your bestie. Wow. Like after that, you're feeling good. You're laying your hair down. But also with men, sometimes I like to use my yapping techniques to start getting men to be in touch with their emotions.
Yes. I
Okay?
honestly like I feel that most men need like a solid female friend,
Yeah.
because I have had like guys open up to me on a friendship level of like that. Honestly, I just feel like it's just like really hard to like replicate like these beautiful moments that you have when you're like, "Hey, have you ever told anyone this before?" And they're like, "No." And I was
No.
like, I love that you feel comfortable enough with me to like share this, but like I honestly don't think you need to keep that a secret, you know?
Well, there's just things that men don't talk to each other about. And that's really sad. Like y'all should really open up to each other a little more. You know what I mean? You're all struggling with the same things for real. But but also sometimes I talk about this all the time. Like when you're in the same friend group or you have friends who have the same sort of like background, maybe issues, and you're going through the same thing at the same time, it's really hard for other people to bring a different perspective, right? To bring some light, to bring being like, maybe we should all heal this way. So specifically, sometimes when men have trouble with like their girlfriends or whatever, and they've just been like talking to their guys, I'm like, maybe you shouldn't do that. And I mean it with love, but like, unless a few of your guys are in therapy or like talk to surround themselves with women or are like really in touch with their emotions and are like, it's not the blind leading the blind, then you should probably just go get a few more perspectives. You know what I mean? And as a girl with like my guy friends talk to me about something, I'm like, yeah, but like not even the perspective of a girl, but it's just like, oh, like how did that decision make you feel? And they're like, well, I never really thought about it. I just think like it's not the right thing to do. And I'm like, yeah, but what was the emotion behind the thought, right? And the thing is like, sometimes I really do feel bad for men, okay, because they really do not be taught how to like link a range of emotions. They just don't. So sometimes it's nice to just like shed some light, be like, oh, it's okay to feel this way, or I have felt like that before. You know what I mean? You just open up a whole new world for them, and then they will come back because they're like, my emotions are safe here, and you're gonna be a good place for them to share things about themselves in.
Yeah, I think there's like, have you ever heard of like an emotions wheel where
Yeah.
you have like, you have the emotions on the inside, but there's actually deeper seated things in that. They like, there's actually studies done that like literally women can describe their emotions in more descriptive words than men can. And that is really sad, but I feel like you could just like yapping and to somebody else can like give them new vocabulary for their own feelings, and I think that's really beautiful when you become a talker is you could be like talking about something that you're dealing with and then someone else can be like, oh, I've never really thought about it like that, and you can like bring new perspective. And so like that's why I kind of enjoy being a little conversational, a little talker, is because maybe it'll open up things. And I remember this one time in college, Halloween 2017, no,
Scary year.
but this person was like, yeah, like life's rough, but like that's why we have the homies, and I just
Mm.
remember being like, oh wow, yeah, like life does suck, but at least we're kind of like in this shit together. um and I hadn't really thought about stuff like that because I kind of been like a lone person, for a lot of my life. And so it's funny how like those one things can like people can attach to. And I remember that something similar happened to me where it's like someone told me something I said to them like 4 years ago really stuck with them. And so like you never know when you can like open up and like change someone's life through a conversation.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. Actually, it's probably one of the best feelings where I'm like, oh my god, something I said like really impacted you like that. But it also tells you the power that you have to impact people, right? When you're a yapper, you also have to just be like, be kind. There is a possibility to be mean when you're a yapper. Mostly when you have no filter. I tend to be pretty blunt. Um, I don't say anything that I know would hurt my feelings back unless I'm angry, and then that's the worst version of myself. And I really don't try to be here. Um, but yeah, watching what you say. Sometimes we can say things that we don't necessarily mean as yappers. So just be trying to be gentle with people.
I mean, yeah, always, sometimes as a yapper, if you talk too quick, sometimes you have to apologize. Sometimes my mouth moves quicker than my mind thinks. I don't know. People might listen to this podcast and be like, wow, she talks really, really fast. And I literally slow it down for the podcast. Can you believe that?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I talk even faster. I have to do that a lot where I have to slow down when you're a yapper. Slow down so people understand what you can say.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I really slow down. I've only slowed down when people ask me to. But then I'm like, just pick up the pace.
Pick
Meet
it
me
up.
halfway. Meet me halfway here. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the no filter thing with being a yapper, it's good and bad. Some people really like blunt honesty. I like it. That's what I like to get, so that's usually what I give. And the nice thing about being a blunt yapper is that a lot of people will ask you for your honest opinion. And then I'm like, okay, lit. You asked, you shall receive what I think.
I feel like getting someone's honest opinion, and when someone asks for your honest opinion, it seems like a trap, but usually they're just trying to validate like their own thoughts. So I try to be truthful, but as tactful and kind as possible.
Yeah, I think, yeah, sometimes the people really ask me if they're playing themselves because they'll know. I'll let them know. Like, I'm not about to be like, oh my God, like, live your life. It's your life. I'll let you know if
Yeah.
obviously what you've told me doesn't align with the thing you're about to do. But my sister just called me actually, and she was earlier today. I was asking me about if a decision was making her seem like she couldn't let go of things, and I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, you got this. You know what I mean? Sometimes people do want to feel validated in certain decisions, but knowing that there is a person that's going to tell them how they is straight up is also nice. It's nice to know that like you can provide that for other people more than when people don't ask you for your opinions because maybe you're, I don't know, maybe not caring enough or you just don't want to tell them the truth. It goes a lot with the people pleasing. If you're agreeing with somebody all the time, God, I don't even know what this type of friendships are like because I feel like that'd be so boring.
Can't
I don't like
relate.
that. No, when someone agrees with me too much and
Yeah.
there's like, I'm just like, why? Where are your thoughts? There's no way me and you have the same mind. There just isn't.
Well, I think that goes into like when I give advice to people, I always say every person's different and like
Yeah.
my priorities are different than your priorities, so it's really hard for me to give like a read on this. But based on what I know about you,
Yeah. And what you've told me you want,
yes.
this decision seems a little funny.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I was like, you know what? I feel like we've had a lot of like just based on how I know you, I feel like A, B, and C. And people are like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that like
Yeah.
and this kind of feeds into like this whole like you have to be as much of a listener as you are a yapper so that when you're yapping you actually are like saying things
It's
that
based on
people, yeah,
something.
it's based
Yeah.
off of substance. I was saying like when no filter rarely goes wrong except when you're like talking about somebody else, you know what I'm saying? That's when you get into real hot water. And I'd say like obviously I'm not a proponent of physical violence, but I did get into a little tiff when I was like in 5th grade because I was talking shit, and I feel like I learned a lot from that, which is honestly people don't yap about other people that aren't in the room,
Yeah.
or don't say anything you wouldn't say to that person.
That is true. I've called out a few people when they repeatedly bring something up. I'm like, I don't want you to address this again unless that person's in the room. Can you do that? Because it makes me uncomfortable. I think that's the best way to tell somebody to shut the fuck up, to be honest. Like, and I've said a few times, I don't really want to hear it anymore. You already said this. This person isn't here. It kind of makes me uncomfortable. You should probably talk to them about it. If you have that big of an opinion or if it's something that concerns you. Because some people will like say stuff. And I'm not perfect. I've done this. And believe me, like when I do it, I like think about this incident probably for the next 3 months. I'm not even kidding. Cause like I hate speaking of other people, specifically when I don't know what I'm talking about. And this happens a lot sometimes when I drink. And I'm like, Bernice, hey, girl, where did that come from? And then I have to go retract my statement to the people. I'm like, I spoke out of pocket. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm so sorry, and I'm never gonna do that again. Okay, no, for real, like, because I hate that at people. So when I catch it myself, I'm like, we're not perfect human beings. Okay, let's say that. Let's say
Yeah.
that. I take shit talking is like everybody does it, but it kind of just depends whether you are kind of like a little shit talker only behind the back. I am. I like to be congruent with my shit talking to be the shit that I talk to you about. Like if I'm maybe venting about an issue that I'm having with a friend, it's because I'm about to go talk about it with my friend. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like
There's no information people don't know. Like,
like
yeah,
there's no inside jokes because everyone's in on it. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, if I'm telling a story about somebody, I've already, like, talked to them about it. We've, like, you know what I'm saying?
I believe in transparency in friendships. Mostly if I'm with a friend group and I like maybe had a thing with one of the dudes in their friend group and their whole friend group knows this dude was shitty to me, then I'm not pretending we don't all know it. I'll dish it like there, right there on site when everybody can hear it, because we don't need to pretend that this dude didn't just like try to treat me like shit and everybody's just kind of like, we don't know what happened between them. So, and honestly, like when you address it and when you like normalize it and you can like talk things out, believe me, it makes it like way more comfortable in the room to be like, oh, she's not necessarily tripping about this, but it is something that we don't have to pretend didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. If we are anything, we are not pretenders.
No, we're not pretending this didn't happen. We are very much so head on. Yeah, remember, you don't do this anymore because last time you did it, we were all here and we all had a bad time. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something's about being a yapper is also like getting into some hot water. Obviously, read the room. I've had this before where I yapped a little too hard, and some people didn't feel great about that, and they were all that person's friends. Therefore, I was the biggest loser in that occasion. Okay, so yeah, read the room. Maybe save some shit to yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna say with read the room, like maybe a comment wouldn't be inappropriate if there were less people there. Like I feel like sometimes I love a good little roast, but this, I think the only time my roasts go bad is when I'm roasting like too big of a room. You know what I'm saying? Like there's too many people there and it's like, okay, if it had just been me and my other friend and we were just roasting each other back and forth, it would have been fine. But there's like an audience now and now it feels like I'm picking on them, even though it's all
And
out
I'm
of
being
love.
perceived a little
Yeah,
different too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that happens with like I think that I've had that happen towards me too, where it's like where I'm like, hey, like we don't know these people like that. Like we don't you know what I'm saying? Like we don't know these people like that. Like we don't need to talk about our business like that. And I'm talking about me and my other friend. I'm like, yo, let's keep this a little these are
On the hush hush.
strangers. Like we're
Yeah.
we're
On
at a
the
bus
DL.
stop. Let's just keep what the drama that happened a little bit more hush hush because let's read the room. These people at the bus stop don't need to know everything that happened to us, okay, over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's it. That's all I've got for yapping this time around. If you got any fun yapping intel, always send it in. We'd love hearing from you.
From one yapper to another, thanks for being here. Make sure, like always, that you're subscribed to the podcast, that you follow us on social media. You can find us at thanks number 4 your concern.
And I'm at Berenice and
And I'm at Ella L Tutor. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.